I don't want to go off. I don't want to start off on a non-hockey note, but do you ever get those weird bites on the back of your leg that are like 3 bites in a row, like in a line?
You should lay off the Tinder.
Yeah, I was going to say, what kind of girls are you meeting on there?
We get a lot of shots. Everybody come to their net. We just have to get more and more pucks to the net.
We used to talk about in Vancouver getting pucks on net and
pucks on net.
Well, that's the key. We got to get the puck on net.
What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
Continue to put pucks on net, and
it's just getting pucks on net.
Pucks on net and driving and making it a hard night on them.
Live on tape from the Pucks on Net studios, not a palatial estate on the 23rd floor. This is Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast. It doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats. One time it was known as the Gardenia of Hockey Podcast, but I think we retired that. PMAC, you scared away Dave? How's it feel?
I don't think I scared Dave, did I?
Oh, he left with his tail between his legs.
He's all the way in Burma. Like, he went to the other side of the world to get away from you.
Yeah.
I thought I even lost where I was in that notorious moment from last week's podcast.
No, the fan mail flowing in about the battle.
He can't speculate on some kid who's never played a game in the NHL and then say we can't speculate on Alex Burrows with a couple extra minutes ice time. Come on.
Well, if you watch the game on Thursday night, that really...
what did Burrows do with a couple extra minutes ice time?
He scored 2 goals and he dropped 2 pucks on nets in the post-gamer. I don't want to... I woke up yesterday morning. My phone... Was it this morning? This morning, my phone blew up. There's pucks. Burrows had pucks on net twice. That is what I look forward to in my life now.
It's a sign of success. You got everybody else working for you. You don't even need to find it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
They just send it to you.
Oh, yeah. Ron Hainsey, pucks on net, August 13th, 2017, 45 minutes into the game. You're welcome.
Who's this other male voice I don't recognize? It's not Dave. Who's that?
We're going to the Black Aces right now. Simon has been on the podcast. I'm Ryan, by the way.
I'm PMAC, as Ryan said earlier.
And you can introduce yourself.
I'm Simon. I've been just skating hard in practice. Been on the bench for a couple of years now, and I'm back. There was a real bit of a kind of mumps kind of situation going on here, and I got the call up.
The Boom Biega of pucks on net.
Just call me Jason Magna.
No. Jason Magna gets a lot of ice time. You are not Jason Magna.
Okay.
If you were Jason Magna, you would have like 100 episodes under your belt by now.
And they've said nothing at all.
Yeah. Simon's here. He's not really saying much, but he's here.
Are you sure he's here?
Yeah, Dave's in Burma, and we have to put an episode in there. We don't usually do this. We don't usually put episodes in the can, but I think there's a level of transparency we have with the listeners now that, you know, it's Friday night, and this is going to come out probably Sunday morning because there's some...
Why not tonight?
I don't know. Maybe it could come out tonight. You're making a good point.
You gotta finish it up so you can go on vacation, Ryan.
Yeah, I usually plan my life around the podcast Mondays, which infuriates the other 3 because it's podcast 6:30 every Monday. But I'm jet setting off to Hawaii on Sunday at 10 in the morning. So by the time you're listening to this, I don't know, knee deep in a pineapple stand or just something.
Eating poi in the bathtub.
Be careful over there, Ryan. We've talked about Dave in Burma, but I mean, you're going to the country with real political turmoil right now.
You want to talk about your military dictatorships?
I want to thank you for joining us this week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksNetCA or PucksNetCa. Go. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Biega. Boom Biega of the podcast. And if you make sure you if you want to support the show, you can back us. You can pledge some money over on patreon.com/pucksonnet. Or is it pucksonnet.ca? No, it's Pucks on Net. We actually have Pucks on Net for Patreon and Instagram, the 2 least important things. We've got it. Some asshole doesn't have patreon.com/pucksonnet. And long-time listener of the podcast, Anna Forsyth, she went over to patreon.com/pucksonnet. Pledged $5. We thank you very much for that. So she'll be able to hear 5 minutes for paying, which will happen at the end of the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy these dulcet tones coming through your ear holes.
If anybody else wants to throw some money down there, we need your money. I sound like the Little Rascals. We need to make some money.
We do. I made a big mistake at the post office today.
Ryan Didn't do any homework. I've been telling him, okay, if you're going to buy pucks, make sure you know how much they're going to cost. Oh, yeah, they're just a little bit extra. If you're going to ship them, make sure you know how much it costs. Oh, it's going to be fine. He's losing money right now. We're finally going to sponsor. And we're bleeding money all over the streets of Vancouver right now.
He needs a Wozniak to his jobs. He's got the vision, but he needs the Woz to kind of give him the tech and keep him in line.
We love you, Ryan. Don't get me wrong.
Every now and then, this democratic dictatorship that I run here hits a foul, washes up on the rocks, misses the lighthouse. We lost a little bit of money on the pucks today. If you got your puck,
what's this we?
I haven't incorporated us yet, and based on what happened today, you might not want to be part of this company hemorrhaging money.
Well, you haven't
bleeding cash over here.
Paid my invoices in 3-4 years. How long have we been doing this?
Oh, jeez.
Ryan owes me a couple $100,000 at this point, but he says he's good for it, so I keep coming.
If the pucks came in Thursday. What day is
it?
Wednesday. Thank you. This is why we need to go on vacation. Pucks came in on Wednesday. I have 38 pounds of Pucks on Net pucks in my room right now. It was so heavy. The UPS man came and he buzzed. He's like, "I got something for Ryan here." I'm like, "Yeah, come on up." He's like, I'm not coming up, but you got to come down and get this." And my room smells like my bedroom smells like Canadian Tire right now.
I just envisioned like Kevin James from King of Queens showing up with like a big boiler and back brace, being like, "I'm not carrying those up those stairs."
But then he follows me up just to see what's going on. Yeah. Oh, you got the game on?
Oh, sweet.
My Scientologist wife is really chapping my hide.
Yeah. She's doing her 2.5 hours of practice she has to do every day for Scientology.
Hey, she's been doing a great documentary series, tearing a hole in those Scientologists. So.
Have you caught any of that?
No, but I want to.
Simon?
Yeah, I saw a couple episodes. I saw her, she did Joe Rogan's podcast too. Super interesting to see somebody from the inside who had been into it for so long.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that every day, if you're a Scientologist, you have to go to the Scientology Center for 2.5 hours, and you have to go there and do studies. And this is every single day, like reading L. Ron Hubbard's readings and breaking them down and answering questions. And yeah, everybody's looking out, like everybody's watching everybody. It's a little big brothery. So yeah, it was interesting.
Is Tom Cruise doing this?
No, Tom is apparently very special, but he is so insulated from the rest of the world that everybody around him is a Scientologist. And Scientology, if you're listening, I don't have any money. I don't have any property. Please don't sue me.
We don't have any money either. You should have seen my shipping bill.
We're talking about losing money on pucks over here. we don't. There's no way you're getting anything out of us. Blood from a stone.
So if you do want to buy a puck, and if you've seen an advertised price on Instagram or Facebook,
if you're out there, you're going Scientology puck, go with the puck. It's cheaper. Then go over to Patreon, still cheaper. You can do like 20, 30, 40, $50 a month, still cheaper than Scientology.
That is great. Pucks on Net, cheaper than Scientology. Is it as culty?
Yeah, it's, borderline.
A little bit.
No, it's a close second.
Okay, I as a cult leader, or sorry, as a podcast host and team
cult leader.
Yeah, I'm running a good ship here. I got some followers. But if you saw a price that I posted or talked about on last week's podcast, and you are adamant that you want that puck at that price, we will honor it. But if you have a heart and understand that we're losing money at that price, we have a new price, Canadian orders, $25 Canadian. That's with shipping, because shipping a fucking 6-ounce puck is expensive. And international orders, email us. We want to get them out the door.
I feel like I'm on PBS here shilling tote bags or something.
But
you're gonna honor the original price. Don't give people that opportunity there. I mean, sorry. The leader is good. The leader is great. I surrender my will as of this date. We have to say that about
that damn bean.
I think that if there's a Pucks on Net listener, they'll have a heart. They're not they might not be a Scientologist, and they'll hear the desperation in my voice that if Paul or Dave or Geeta or one of the Black Aces asks to see the numbers or the receipts held in my Jack Daniels tin, they're gonna shit a brick. So
I don't ask questions anymore.
New price. Let's make some money though. How about we make some money to recoup those losses?
Let's talk about hockey to make some money. Or do you want me to read? Someone else will give us some money. Do you want
I
me
will
to
actually
take care
make
of that?
some money. Yeah.
You know what? Let's get it out of the way now.
What do you, I can hear? Can I tell you about this?
Absolutely.
I gotta tell you about this. This is my Ray Ferraro shtick. It's not about joint medicine. It's about something much, much better. Dr. B-Rad gave us this read. I'm gonna try and go with the script. Last week, Ryan got mad at me because I didn't read the script. We're talking specifically about Seven Oaks and Scottsdale Center locations of image optometry. With all the options out there, why is it that so many people, including local sports pros, if you go to their website, Ottawa Senator Alex Burrows, I believe, is on the front page, they trust their eyes to image optometry. Well, I do too. I'm wearing them right now. Image. How do I look, Ryan?
Oh, listen, this guy, he's the face that runs this place.
Fantastic. Faces Shot TV out there.
Where'd you get those ramshackle pieces of garbage on your face?
From a competing retailer, perhaps.
But you won't do that next time because it could be their online prices with bricks and mortar service. It could be the direct billing, or it could be that they're the only ones to offer a doctor's eye exam and a complete select pair of glasses for $89.95. $89.95. I paid more than that for these, but these are nice glasses. I went in there and I went all out. They've got all sorts of prices for everyone and an unbeatable deal that'll ensure you catch your next match. Glorious HD. I was calling a water polo last night. And man, those numbers are small on their caps.
Yeah, and he was on the ball.
Sometimes their caps are falling off. But I wore these glasses, and they may have fogged up a little if you watch the broadcast. We're repeating this one at some point.
It was humid, baby.
It was humid in there.
It was humid.
But I could see everything. So yes, you can see your water polo in glorious HD. I mean, what else could you expect from the most affordable eye care chain in British Columbia? Image Optometry, the official eye doctors of the Canucks and PMAC on the street.
And Pucks on Net. And what's the website?
Online at image.ca.
Or image.co. Yeah,
you don't pay me enough to do that yet, Ryan. Imagine more for less.
Well, I'm sold.
Okay.
I got to get a new pair.
This is...
Is anyone still listening?
Oh, yeah. At least 4 or 5 people.
Sports market here talking about money.
Sports.
Okay, I want to talk about this. This happened yesterday. It's not on the rundown, but we have a long-standing tradition on this podcast of making fun of Ryan Smyth for crying a lot.
Oh, for good reason. And
Colby Armstrong and Ryan Whitney on Sportsnet did the exact same thing because of the deadline. And there was this incredible outrage from Oilers fans, like they just, ripped up a picture of the Pope on Saturday Night Live. So I want to play you this, and I just want you to think, I want you to answer if you think this is crossing the line.
He leaves and goes from Edmonton to the Islanders the year before. I'm with Atlanta, now play him the next year. He's in Colorado. Yeah. And we're all sitting on the bench, and he lines up for the faceoff in front of us, and all whole bench at the same time. 16 guys. We're making one over crying. And then the one guy goes, "We're bringing the cup back to Edmonton." No, that's relentless. This is the video that Colby was referencing, the trade deadline 207.
And win that cup.
Sorry, it's quiet.
So I can bring it down here.
Can we bring this up at all?
I'm going to have to bring it in post.
Bring the cup back what do you think? Dennis Potvin and Billy Smith were still there? The Islanders were going to win the cup? I told Morkoff I wouldn't do this.
There is a backlash of just, boycott Sportsnet for that. Is that crossing the line?
Absolutely not. Edmonton Oilers fans, come on. Get over it. Jeez, that's just a funny story. Hockey players are assholes. We all need to move on.
It sounds like a bad episode of Pucks on Net where we lay into somebody inappropriately. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much, but at the same time, I don't know. Cheap shot. I mean, Alberta's been through a lot. It really hurt that both of their arenas got flooded between Calgary and Ryan Smyth. Sorry.
He goes very dehydrated.
Why are we making fun of PK Subban then if you guys don't like crying on the ice? I thought that was a beautiful moment.
Well, That's a little different. I mean,
What
Ryan.
about Wayne Gretzky when he got traded?
He told Messi he wouldn't do this, and he did. He feels really bad about it. He let his captain down. All right, that's how.
I think Gretzky was the captain.
Was he?
Yeah, I think he was.
Mess took over.
Mess took over afterwards.
Oh, well, I mean, who was really running the show in that dressing room?
It certainly wasn't Messier.
The moose was loose.
Worst leader in NHL history.
I agree with that.
Yeah, especially his Vancouver days.
Vancouver,
Jeez.
when he had the biggest payroll in New York there at the end. Didn't lead them to nothing.
Taking weekends off to play alumni games. Not the actual NHL game, but the alumni game with the Oilers. I don't know if you remember that when they had the first outdoor game.
Did he play in that alumni game?
He played in the alumni game. He retired at the end of that year, but he basically was like, Slats, I'm taking the weekend off. I'm going up to Edmonton.
What are you going to do about it? Absolutely nothing.
All right.
Anyway, whine about Edmonton fans complaining about that. Then we whine about Mark Messier. Everybody just whines about whoever they want.
Well, we have our own lovable loser in this town, in this fan base, in Trevor Linden. I mean, are you going to get upset if I don't even know. If somebody on Sportsnet that's out of Toronto base would make fun of Trevor Linden for kind of being a wimp.
Yeah, I think maybe a couple years ago I would have, but I've totally settled into sort of like more of an old man version of sports where I don't try to I don't get personally involved anymore because I can kind of see through all of it's just money in a business and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because Trevor Linden was definitely he was the role model when I was a kid, but I don't know. You're opening yourself up. You're out there in the public. Take the shots. I
mean, they're not saying Ryan Smyth isn't a positive figure and a role model. He just was a big baby on come on. The Islanders were not going to win the cup that year.
No, yeah, I think that sometimes they just need things to talk about, and then Edmonton's a really easy target because it's a single team town.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with it. They were great for a long time and terrible for a long time, so they're kind of they're just insecure about their team.
Single team town, Edmonton Eskimos.
Sorry, I forgot the majestic Edmonton Eskimos of the CFL team.
What's their soccer team called? The Edmonton Explosion or something?
It's all alliteration up in Edmonton.
I honestly was guessing that might be the name. I don't know.
Okay, so we in the first time in many years, something fantastic happened in this town, and that was a positive step at the trade deadline. We all remember last year, Rading Verbata wasn't getting traded. Dan Hamhuis didn't get traded because he loved Vancouver so much, and then a couple months later, he really, really liked Dallas. He really likes Tex-Mex food.
Or the Canucks really didn't want to bring him back.
Well, I mean, he's been a healthy scratch a lot this year. Maybe
I'm not saying it was the wrong decision, but I mean, you can't lay into him and say he just left town. He kind of got forced out.
Yeah, all right, fine. Yeah.
He's a little small.
Ryan Smyth. Ryan Miller didn't get traded last year or this year.
But
he is so sad right now.
He's so far away from Noreen and whatever
Puck, the little dog they have.
And Bodie.
But fantastic. We said this last week because, we did the Burrows show, and it's always a good indicator when the other team's fan base is just up in arms, just like, what the hell's going on? So we have that reverse feeling because our it's not a Brandon Sutter 5-year deal situation. It's a trading away aging assets for something young.
Where was the Jannik Hansen tribute, Ryan?
If you go back to episode 52 or 53, T-Mac tells a great story about Jannik Hansen going into a Starbucks.
That's the tribute we're giving?
That Squampton, our dear, love it, one of arguably our favorite listener, he tweeted out the Starbucks
we
gazing.
We love all of our listeners equally. Ryan, be careful.
I love the ones that give us money more.
Check out that Patreon account.
Hansen was traded for Nikolai Goldobin and a conditional 4th-round pick.
Which could be a first-round pick.
Which is the greatest condition on a pick I've ever... Because I needed a team to cheer for in the West. And I already like Jumbo Joe, Brent Burns,
Gotta love the beards.
Now you can cheer for Jannik Hansen, the Great Dane, who's going to grow a beard. And if they win the Stanley Cup, it's a first-round pick.
Are we sure that Jim Benning's still running the team? Because this trade deadline was so different from the last trade deadline.
There's optimism in these fans.
Yeah, really? He thought outside the box and said, if you win the cup, we get a first rounder, and they went for it? Like, that's so surprising to me.
Is it, Paul? Is it just a matter of the shackles of local apartment landlords have been let go of Jim Benning, and he's allowed to be a GM, the GM he's always wanted to be?
Talking about ownership?
Sports bar, great after games.
Yeah, you looking for more sponsors?
Go have a cold one.
I don't trade wise. Yeah, Benning's made a couple of bad ones, but I mean, you look at like Granlund, the Granlund deal, the Bearchi deal. I guess if he's dealing with Calgary, he's able to pull some cogs out of there. Mm-hmm. He's done a couple of things in the past comparable. He had a couple of assets, and they've finally given up, it seems. And they're like, "Oh, it's been a rebuild all along." I think somebody said something along those lines.
Fooled you.
Yeah, we weren't. If it was a rebuild all along, you're not going to be in the media going, "Okay, we got 10 games to the deadline. We're going to see what we got," and then they get the shit kicked out of them in Boston, and all of a sudden, all right, what do you got?
You guys call it a retool. We didn't call it a retool. No, yeah, I mean, they should have really started this
Sean
sooner.
Spicer working for the Canucks.
No, that'll be his next job, because I don't think he's going to stick around much longer with Melissa McCarthy playing his role.
I can't even tell the difference anymore.
He's really not a fan of cross-dressing in comedy. Anyway.
No, he's not a fan of
he's not a fan of much anything.
I like that he critiqued it. He's like, well, the impression's funny, but it wasn't realistic. There was too much gum chewing.
That was his main concern.
Sean Spicer going for accuracy and realism for the
if
first.
It was 2 pieces of gum on board. Any more than that, I'm out. Like, f it, I'm done.
That's what you get from a guy who sticks to the facts like Sean Spicer. Anyway, he'll be working for the Canucks next year and spinning stories.
He'll be working for us. The pucks were always $25. I don't know what you're talking about. Where did you get it? These are fake facts. I don't know what's going on.
That was too clear. There wasn't enough stumbling there to be spicy. But anyway, yeah, it's weird to come out of a trade deadline. And if I look at my winners, go Vancouver Canucks. I mean, you look Dahlin and Goldobin. It's again looking at sort of Benning's thing where he picks up a bunch of people, and then 1 or 2 of them, the expectation will work out. 1 or 2 might not. And that's sort of what he's done. And that's why I sort of cut him a little slack when Clendening was a loss. Yeah. But it's looking like Granlund and Bearchi, like I just mentioned, are big wins. And his whole thing is sort of trading guys that may have a bigger upside, like a Forsling or Gustav Forsling, yeah. Or Hunter Shinkaruk, for a guy that's more steady, and you're probably going to get something more out of it. I look at these 2 guys. Yeah, they're maybe more in the high risk, high reward category, but he's got 2 of them now. So he's really just hoping one of these 2 works out. And then if one of them works out to be a top 6 forward, you're going to count that as a positive day, moving Hansen and Burrows for that. And hey, first round pick as well. Maybe there's an extra chance there.
We also forget, I mean, it's going to be a high second, but the Canucks get a second round pick. The second round pick of the Columbus Blue Jackets for Torts.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure, I think they can still go. I was debating that. I thought it had to be this year, but somebody else was telling me they thought they could go 1 more year.
3
on that
years?
One.
Like
I thought it had to be this year, but somebody else told me otherwise. We're going to have to look that up. I didn't know that would come up today, so now I look uneducated.
Oh, that's fine. You don't look uneducated because you have those fantastic glasses on from Image Optometry.
There you go. They fool everybody.
Craig Gillies, our Scottish listener, who just got his puck at the new price. What a guy.
Great.
He asks, by bringing in these young prospects, are we allowed to get excited about this team again?
Can you do that in a Scottish accent?
Never mind. I'm just going to do a bad Australian accent. That's my new thing. Well, that's my new thing. I'm from Scotland. By bringing in these young prospects, are we allowed to get excited about the team again? Or am I getting carried away? I answered the question before the big Kylie Minogue concert coming up.
I couldn't pay attention to the question. What was the question?
Are we allowed to get excited about this team again, or are we getting carried away? Because there is a depth chart of prospects. I mean, there was a depth chart of prospects with Hunter Shinkaruk and Jared McCann, but now we have a new.
Yeah, we traded them out. We got new ones.
Yeah, is that exciting? Like, I mean, it is. It's good, but I mean, you're still going to probably have a couple years here now where we're waiting.
Yeah. I think you can get excited 2 years from now because a lot of these kids are pretty young. Like,
I'm excited the team's moving in the right direction. Finally,
that's the excitement. Is like I had a conversation with somebody, and not a Canucks that don't follow the Canucks, and they're a Habs fan, and they're asking, well, how do you still remain a fan? And for the longest time, you're like, well, shit, if if Brock Besser pans out and Thatcher Demko pans out and they've got these guys and they pan out and the management or if ownership finally lets up and they rebuild and they realize that the fans want that, it'll be fine. But you'd always be like, all right, if that all works out. But there was never that, it wasn't happening. Now it is, and it's just this like relief is, this weight is off our shoulders as fans. Like, we know we're not spinning our tires and doing stupid things like the Montreal Canadiens are doing. And it's as a fan, like, I'm happy. And now we're at the, the common response was like, well, maybe we don't need to trade Ryan Miller because we need to have somebody to carry the load. And before this happened, it was gut the whole team, everything. And now there is that optimism, which I don't know. It's nice. It's nice again. There's a path of some sort of path.
Yeah, it's like when you're in like a bad relationship and you get out of it, and you're kind of out of it for a little bit, and you're like, oh, thank God we can move forward now. I'm gonna do other things. Like there's something in the future now. And for the past couple of years, it's just been totally spinning tires, chasing the ghosts of a team that just the bones are kind of there, but it's not the same players anymore. Like they're older. And
it really made it. Sorry, go on.
You're calling the Canucks a corpse, it sounds like.
Yeah, they were there for a little bit. I mean, you're hanging on to they were great teams, but they didn't win the cup. And frankly, in Vancouver, a long playoff run is not going to do it. There needs to be a cup won. Yeah. And that's the standard of success. I
don't know. I have sort of issues with that with 30, soon to be 31 teams in the league. And I know I've had people, probably Dave, call me out on this. It's like, doesn't matter. If you don't win it, it doesn't matter. But I mean, honestly, like you got a good hockey team for the better part of a decade or so there. Appreciate it for what it was. They should have moved on sooner, but they're moving on now. So I guess we got something there. But I mean, championships, you need championships, but at the same time, appreciate, entertainment value. It's like watching a soap opera. I tell people sometimes that aren't sports fans. Yeah. It's like not necessarily a soap opera, but it's kind of like that with the Canucks. But if it's a series you're really into, some sort of TV series, there's going to be crappy moments in The Walking Dead where somebody you like dies, but you're still watching because it's exciting. Although, does anyone still watch The Walking Dead?
I'm not sure.
I'm still watching it. Not nearly as good. The last couple of seasons haven't been nearly as good.
Certain people got baseball bats
in the face.
Yeah, the whole vegan.
I loaded up the iPad with the People versus OJ to watch on the plane.
Is that a zombie one?
There's some grisly deaths in it, just like The Walking Dead.
That's the FX one, like
the one that won the Oscar.
The documentary one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because that was, what was that, OJ? That was OJ Made in America.
Yeah, Made in America is
and
what I
then
downloaded.
the other one is the FX one, which is like with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, you're right.
The ESPN 30 for 30 one is fantastic, though. Totally deserved the Oscar.
Really? That was 30 for 30?
I think it was, I don't know whether it was in the 30 for 30 series, but it was by a lot of the same people. Like Bill Simmons was the executive producer, that kind of stuff. Fantastic, though. Real, like, super deep dive. Like, you kind of got to get into it because I think it's, 8 hours long? Something like that?
Yeah, they're big. They're a lot of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I did think of something. You're talking about prospects. You mentioned Jared McCann. Did you watch? I missed it, but I heard about it. The Alex Burrows interview before he got traded when he was on Hockey Night in Canada After Hours. Did anybody watch that?
No. What happened?
Apparently, he told a story about last year, I guess it would have been. He took Jake Virtanen's phone and changed the contact information of two people in his phone. And he guesses on who Jake's contacts changes.
I know the story. I know who they are.
Anyway, maybe you've heard the story before. I hadn't heard it before.
Oh, it's great.
So Jared McCann's number got switched for Trevor Linden's number. And Jakey starts texting Trevor about God knows what.
It was I know the text. It was something like, it was around midnight. And it's just like, where are you or what are you doing? And then Trevor Linden as Jared McCann replies back. It's like, excuse me? And it's like, where are you? It's like, and Trevor's like, who do you think this is? Or something along those lines. Like, but it could have been way worse. Like, hey, I'm in trouble. Get a bat.
We're going to the Orange.
Are you sure that's all it was? That's the story.
That's the cleaned up for TV version. I don't know what those texts said.
Was Trevor in on it, or was he?
No, he
was a useful fool then.
Yeah, he's a grizzled vet. He knew what was going on.
He figured it out.
He could have let it go and kept it going and seen what's going on with those boys.
See, and I'm totally speculating, but after we've seen sort of what's happened with Jared McCann and Jake Virtanen.
What? Wait
Who's
a minute.
to say? Maybe something else got out there in those text messages.
Are you suggesting that there's something wrong, in the organization where when the whole team gets the mumps or traded and Jared McCann is still in Utica?
Jake Virtanen?
Yeah, Jake. Yeah, that guy too.
Jared McCann's nowhere near Utica.
He occasionally is. He's up and down.
I guess.
But that's
riding the bus.
That's the telling sign when the whole team's down. Dave was going to be emergency backup. I knew that was a thing. And Jake Virtanen, Jays, is sitting in Utica.
Yeah, that tells you a lot.
Sit down here and think about what you've done.
Anyway, so either way, it's just staying up past his bedtime.
Yes.
Which made things upset, or maybe he said a couple of things that you never know. You put yourself in the bad books with the management. But anyway, I don't want to speculate. I'm just speculating.
So fun, though.
It is fun. It is the best thing. Josh was saying he was drafted by the New York Islanders, and he was the kid with behavioral problems, and I think Niagara or Mississauga or one of the O teams, he kept falling deeper and deeper into the draft. The Islanders took a chance on him, and
was he 29th or 30th overall?
It was something like that. And Garth Snow was like, hey, they shit all over me too. We're going to take a chance with them. He slept in the first day of Islanders training camp 2 years ago. They sent him back day one. It's like...
Yeah, you sleep in first day.
Yeah,
you're out.
It's like,
sorry, kid.
You got one
Earn it
job.
back.
How many alarms do you need? So he's finally getting his call up to the Islanders, who are surging to the playoffs, and he wore number 66 in his NHL debut, and he's going to keep wearing 66. It's a number he's worn almost all of his junior career, and nobody's worn it since 2011 on an AHL call-up. TJ Brody, is there a controversy here?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's not retired league-wide. It's not retired by the Islanders.
Yeah.
There's lots of other players who have been very good players, but it doesn't mean that you can't wear their numbers. Like, I guess, what is it? It's only 99 for Gretzky's the only one that's retired league-wide.
That's the Jackie Robinson treatment.
Yeah, if it's not retired, go for it. I don't know.
Well, my feelings, Ryan. I've talked about it in the past, just retired numbers in general. I'm all for honoring it, and Toronto's messed that up because they were the only team doing it right. I just don't like seeing higher numbers coming into sport unnecessarily, but
I know.
And he's been wearing it his whole life, so even if you do think you have an issue, like he's trying to be Mario Lemieux,
which he said he's not. He gave a very respectful rebuttal.
I mean, he kind of said he is because it's a tribute, but he's been doing it his whole life. Like, it's not like he's doing it just now.
Yeah, he didn't pick it up to be a dick about it.
No, this has been his number because when he was a kid, he wanted to be his favorite player, just like Gretzky wore number 9 when he was a kid because he was a big Gordie Howe fan.
But that should be retired too for the 5 or 6 important players. That's where it gets murky. Like 99 makes sense to retire league wide, but then if you go 66, then you go 9, might as well go 4.
Well, and you have that problem in Vancouver right now with so many numbers hanging from the rafters and no championships won.
Yep.
Or Stanley Cups, whether you're Ryan Kessler or somebody else, right? I got to use both terms, American and Canadian. Yeah, I mean, I love Stan Smyl, but I think I mentioned last week, I think Burrows and Smyl probably very similar players. If Burrows was on that team back then, they're not exactly the same. I know some people will think that's probably blasphemy because Smyl is so beloved in the city, but they're both hardworking, talented guys, but not like maybe Hall of Fame elite. You love him in the city, but you retire his number just because they were like, oh, we don't have a number in the rafters.
Yeah, we got to put some numbers up there real quick.
Got to get 12 up there. He's like,
we really like you, Stan, so we're going to retire your number. And then it became, we really like you, Trevor, so we're going to retire your number.
The thing is, you really like a lot of guys.
Exactly.
If your team's around for a while. So you're going to have the rafters full of these guys. They're just good guys. Yeah. But you're not going to have enough numbers left, and everyone's wearing 262 or something.
They're going to put decimal places in there and a little ad in the decimal.
Yeah, fractions.
There should be a banner above all the retired jerseys that's like a bunch of good guys.
These are good dudes.
Couple of good guys.
The ring of good dudes.
And no, they have the Ring of Honor for guys that were pretty good dudes, but not really good guys. He's a good guy. Let's retire his number.
So
why not?
Even the league-wide one. I mean, probably no one's going to take 99 anyway just because of the clout around it. But, hey, 100 years from now,
I think it
maybe
should
some
be an
kids like,
option.
I've watched a lot of this footage on whatever they watch, like YouTube now, and I want to be just like this amazing Gretzky guy that nobody's been able to match his point totals. Like it's. Kids want to be like people from past generations.
It's a tribute.
What's wrong with that?
Right? It's
We're
not
not going to forget
necessarily-
Wayne Gretzky just because someone else wears 99.
Yeah, like the player is the player inside the uniform with the number on the back, but I think you can wear it as a tribute. You can
It's an identifier.
redefine it. Yeah, exactly. There's all sorts of other options.
That's a great segue because Jarome Iginla, he was a huge. I just heard this because he got traded to the Kings on the deadline. He was a huge. He was a huge Wayne Gretzky fan, and when Gretzky got traded to LA in '88, Iginla, which is actually a huge jersey foul, he got a Kings jersey with his own name on the back, and he got 88 to look like. So it's like he was playing with 99. So Iginla is going to wear 88 in LA to tie into his love of Wayne Gretzky and his boyhood jersey foul.
So is it a jersey foul, though, if now it's accurate?
30
He was just like getting on the Iginla Los Angeles Kings train way earlier than anybody else.
It is no longer a jersey foul from like 90, 89 or 90, whenever
1988.
Yeah.
He wasn't sure if they'd have a sweater for him when he arrived 30 years down the road, so he decided to just get ahead of the fact.
Well, Jarome, you've had a jersey foul for 29 years. We can now strike this from the record. You know, Puck Daddy, who specializes in the jersey fouls, can finally take that one off the board. I don't know if a lot of our listeners know this, but Jarome Iginla has a fantastically long name, and I put it on the rundown, and I'm just wondering if anybody would like to read it out loud.
I haven't looked at the rundown at all. I'm
Where
sorry.
are we looking here?
Third item.
Oh, Jerome Arthur Lay Adekunle Tig Jr. Elvis Iginla. Is that real?
Arthur Lee, probably.
That's his
Lee.
real name.
Why are there so many names?
I don't know. I guess they had a lot of people to honor and not just Wayne Gretzky on the jersey.
Is that an option? Can you just give as many middle names as you feel like?
Yeah. Who's going to stop you?
I guess that's true. I guess that's why people have kids.
Well, things have progressed. This isn't like back. I'm part French Canadian, and they used to anglicize the names of some of my forebears, my ancestors,
Really?
that were French Canadians living in the prairies. So, like, my grandma was Florence.
Really?
She used to be Florence.
Actually,
Yeah, same
and
thing
they
happened at Ellis
anglicized it.
Island with the Italians, with Irish people who came through.
Well, that's
because
people showing up.
Germans.
Yeah, and but I mean, yeah, even you registering a baby's birth, and they'd be like, no, that's not a name.
You
What's
know,
the English equivalent?
Could you imagine somebody saying that to you like in this day and age, when people are so outraged about everything?
It's funny you say that because my Oma and Opa, they came from Holland in I think 54. And my Opa's name, which is Dutch, and it's like it's Western European for Grandma and Grandpa, Oma and Opa. My Opa's name is Leo, which is easy enough to cross over to,
Anglicize.
Yeah, anglicize. My Oma, who I've known for almost 30 years, and
I've
she's
known
in
her for a couple of years. She's a wonderful woman.
wonderful woman in her late 80s
I'm
and
not touching
kicking.
that.
Paul's come over to have lunch with my grandparents before. They loved him. Anyway, I don't know why I don't know what I'm missing here.
I have something to say, and I'm not going to say it out of respect for the elderly.
Okay, so it's funny you talk about like anglicizing names because my Oma has like 4 or 5 different names that she goes by because when they came here in the 50s, they were like kind of like shaming her for these Dutch names. So she can go by Margaret or Greta or Grey, which is like her Dutch name. And I'm like, and I have a couple years ago, I was like, and I'm in my mid-20s. I'm like, Dad, what's Oma's actual name? And it's like Grey. And I'm like,
No, what's her name? I know you had to clear your throat, but what's her name?
You're as bad as those people back then.
And then when my Uncle Bill got married, they were going to name him Willem or Wim, I think, like the Dutch equivalent. Mm-hmm. And the nurse in like this Kamloops hospital was like, you should probably just name it William or him William. And she's like, oh, I guess I should. So it's amazing how far we've come.
Taking people when they're super vulnerable, like just had a baby, been up for 48. No, that's not the name. We've been thinking about it. Nope, not the name. Nope.
You're in a foreign land in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're listening to Family History Radio here on the Pucks on Net Radio Network. But no, yes. So yes, Jarome Iginla's parents had every right to give their kid 27 names. I didn't get the count. And if you want to in a couple years, Simon, when you have a wee one, throw a couple extra middle names in there.
What's your favorite? I think I like Tig the best.
Oh, I'll go with Elvis because you know that there's one of the parents has to be a fan.
Well, it's like my middle name is Alex, so I'm Alec Baldwin if I wanted to be.
Wait a minute, you are?
Yeah, I'm Hamish and Alec, and when I was at BCIT, I went to I can't remember what it was, the health center, because I was trying to opt out of my health insurance, something. But the lady behind the desk looks down at my paperwork, looks up at me and goes, "Oh, Alec, eh? I know what your mom was thinking about." And just keeps writing. It's like, just give me my money. Don't make fun of me. Like, what?
Don't make fun of my
I'm
mom.
very vulnerable here.
Alec Baldwin would probably not approve of you opting out of health insurance.
No. I need that $200 for beer.
So we talked about Jarome Iginla, he's chasing rings. He's tarnishing his legacy.
Didn't Dave say the Kings were where he should be going? I'm trying to remember.
He is. It's a great place for him because it's like, well, he's not that fast, but he can score. He can be a power play specialist because he can still pot a lot of goals.
If you're a tank of a team that just pushes in, sets up, he can still be effective.
Yeah, the California model. And I'd like to see him win a ring because it's Jarome Iginla, I know. And, he's always been likable. And his Team Canada Olympic teammate, Joe Sakic, did him a favor to get him the hell out of Colorado. And, yeah, since 2013, he's had 5 teams now. He's gone from Calgary to Pittsburgh to play with Sid, to Boston, which another was a perfect team for him, to Colorado, which was the worst. I don't know why. He just wasted about 3 solid years of his life there, and then finally with the Kings. So, hey, a Western Conference final, Game 7 loss to the Sharks, I'm happy with because we need those Sharks to go to the Stanley Cup.
Got to have that pick.
What else is on here? PK Subban returned to Montreal. He was crying. It was heartfelt. John Beliveau's wife was there when they're blowing him kisses. And, everybody every aspect of the organization, from, the players to the video they played to ownership, everybody was so thankful and, happy and, thank you for everything. So it's almost like there's only one person that wanted that trade to happen, maybe 2, and one of them doesn't work there anymore. I just kind of got that vibe.
Yeah, I still can't get over that trade. The idea of going out and overpaying for grit or these intangibles when,
they did that all. Well, that's
you could get a ton of guys from Saskatchewan, somewhere in the prairies. You're going to pay them $700,000. They're going to be great in the room, but they're not going to skate and shoot and have the skill set that PK Subban has.
Are you talking about Shea Weber or who they acquired at the deadline?
Well, yeah, a little of both. Shea Weber, great player, don't get me wrong, but he's on the other side of his career. PK Subban's still on the upswing, and PK Subban's probably a better player.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've said in the past, maybe
we don't
stock
know.
was higher for Subban, and I know, we're debate on what the room dynamic was. So there were other effects, and we've seen Taylor Hall coming out of Edmonton when maybe there were other factors. You're not getting full value. You're adding by subtracting, and I don't want to I love PK Subban.
We all love PK.
I'm playing devil's advocate because for the most part, people deplore this trade, and Shea Weber offensively last year was right on par. I think this year as well, right on par. I know he's not playing as well lately.
He's had a really tough go the last couple months
but
or so.
He's not that far off offensive output from PK Subban, but he's not the dynamic, game breaker that PK is. He's solid on the power play, but Montreal's missing game breakers right now.
Yeah.
That was if we were going to talk about winners and losers from the trade deadline.
They're losers.
Montreal, I can respect them picking up some grit because Claude Julien especially will want to make that team more like the Boston Bruin model with Ben and King and Ott. I don't mind those pickups, but they're more depth guys, and I feel like Montreal's a really good depth team and was before, but they didn't have a whole lot at the top. They have good depth, mid-range scorers, a lot of secondary guys. Then you got Pacioretty's doing pretty well. Radulov, who everyone was pooping on and I said was going to be good.
He's had a great year.
He's been doing well. Just going to say that. PMAC said that was a good move.
PMAC called it.
And Galchenyuk is doing pretty well, but he was hurt, I think, for part of this year.
Yeah.
But he's still point-of-game pace. After that, it's a lot of guys that are really good third liners or something stats-wise.
They need those.
They should have been seeking out more top 6 forwards, not more bottom 6 forwards.
How many
in
of
my
the same
opinion.
piece do you really need in one organization? Because a lot of those guys are essentially the same piece.
And PK would be a game breaker even though he's from the blue line. So you look at it right now and you go, he's the type of guy they could probably use right now.
They need a power play. Shea Weber should be able to blast all these goals off the point on the power play, but he's not doing it And PK Subban is just that little bit more dynamic, and he's having a little bit better of a year, and he can do it. And it's just, for such a one-for-one almost trade, it's so goddamn polarizing.
Yeah, I mean, PK Subban can score in different ways on the power play, and don't get me wrong, Shea Weber's shot from the point is fantastic, but when you know where that one player is going to be and what they're trying to set up, it's much easier to shut that down than it is if you have a PK Subban and you can move him around the ice and he's a little bit more dynamic.
I don't know, man. You get that Shea Weber shot going full out, it's like the knuckle puck on Mighty Ducks, and everyone's diving out of the way and top corner.
And now, if you don't know what PMAC's talking about, head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet. Pledge $5. You can watch us talk about the knuckle puck on our D2 Mighty Ducks.
A little bit of Bash Brothers in there, too.
Oh, yeah.
So we've had Alec Baldwin. We've had Keenan Thompson. Kate McKinnon will be up next on the podcast.
Probably. The night's young. The only problem with that is you have to get Shea Weber that you have to get him that pass to give him that shot, and they don't seem to be doing that.
You saw when Markov went down, Markov was setting him up a lot at the beginning of the season. Then Markov went out, and it seems like they haven't been able to put it back together again.
Which is it's like a power play. It's a very simple idea. Muck around, get it to the point, pass it to the other point, blast it, hope you don't kill somebody.
You have an extra player.
Alaboo! Like, it's easy. It's very easy.
I don't know, man. If you don't have Jason Magna in the lineup, it's really tough making that top power play unit work.
Yeah, it's like those guys, those top line, that top 1.5 lines in Montreal has to be scoring every night, and if they don't, Dwight King and Steve Ott are not going to score you goals.
Nope.
And that team's not very fast. And I don't know, like, you remember how the last couple of weeks we've been talking about, like, it seems like the Habs, all they want to do is beat the Bruins. Because the Bruins, and it's like they're building a team to beat the Bruins, but the Bruins aren't really that team anymore.
Yeah, they're not there. They're not at that level
So
anymore.
you got teams like Washington and Pittsburgh, the Rangers. Who else would make it? You know, the Leafs.
Washington.
Yeah. And
Leafs are borderline.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
But
Washington,
fast,
Pittsburgh,
skilled teams.
Columbus.
Yeah. Well, Columbus is I don't know.
Aren't we calling a Minnesota-Columbus final for the Stanley Cup this year?
Oh,
That's
please,
very
no.
possible.
Whoa.
Very, very possible.
Gary Bettman's crying right now at that thought.
Those are his teams. He brought those into existence.
No, his Stanley Cup final would be. They did New York, LA, and it wasn't nearly as big of a.
Yeah, I think Chicago draws. I think Chicago would be a good one for the league.
All I want is that Chicago-Pittsburgh 7-game series of honest hockey.
But who put teams in Minnesota and Ohio? Gary Bettman. So if they make the final, that's his own doing.
Yeah, it's not the 50 years of hockey love in the state of Minnesota and the existing NHL team that folded before Gary got there. No, it's all his doing. He created that love of hockey in that state, right?
Having an Arizona-Florida final in front of 10 people.
That would be great.
There's some good photos of the Hurricanes were in Florida playing the Panthers, and they showed a lower bowl, and it was, choose your own.
I saw that
row.
tweet, yeah.
Stark, not Stork, not Eddie Lack. It was Stark with an A.
Eddie Lack got absolutely...
He got ripped today by his coach.
The Eddie Lack quote is... What's the head coach's name?
Bill Peters,
head coach.
So I don't think it's much of a competition. We've got a guy who's well ahead of the other guy. That's what I see in the numbers back that up. So when he gets in another game, you better play. You better earn some respect from your teammates. Your teammates are out there working their bag off. That's nice. You better get some saves, and a timely save at the right time wouldn't hurt. And he's saying this about Eddie Lack when Cam Ward, who has been moldering on the vine for the past couple of seasons with like a 900 save percentage, is their starter, and you're ripping the backup. Is the backup really the problem?
Well, the best thing is he then yells towards Eddie Lack, and he says, "Go make some saves." Also, he puts an F-bomb in there. Like, that is harsh.
It's really great when you have these little snippets of these guys who are really high achievers, super A-type head coaches, and they just break at the wrong time in front of the wrong camera. It's great seeing these little snippets of real life.
Is that unfair criticism on Eddie Lack because he's the fun-loving guy who a super staunch, serious man will say, he's too fun-loving, he's not taking this seriously enough, and then he goes in and, is that what's happening?
I don't think it's ever a particularly good idea to air your dirty laundry out in the media. I think that these bland platitudes exist because it's been proven that this bruise controversy, especially goaltenders, going to mess with their confidence, go and talk to them, do the fatherly thing, do something, but you don't need to do it in front of the cameras. Maybe it was a mistake, I don't know, but usually when these coaches come out and rip these guys in public, it's because they're trying to push buttons.
I don't think that it's going to work too well.
Wasn't it just 1 or 2 games back for Lack when he got a shutout on like Everyone Can Play night or whatever, which
he
was
did.
also kind of weird. He was the rep, like Henrik Sedin was the rep for Vancouver. What's it called? Everyone Can Play.
You Can Play. I think.
Can Play. And they've had some great star players representing each team. Great initiative. And down in Carolina, they make the backup goalie which I mean, I love Eddie Lack, and I'm happy he's standing up for that. But it's like, is that the best the franchise?
Not so
can
high
do?
profile.
I mean, and it is Carolina, and there's mixed political feelings down there about.
Yeah, they got some laws about.
couple
we got
bathroom
we got to
some
speed
rooms,
this up. I got to
that
make a
kind of
run to
thing.
the John soon, but it's unrelated. That's completely unrelated.
Which bathroom are you going to use?
Does it matter? Does it matter, Ryan? Yeah. Anyway,
Use the middle door.
Eddie Lack got a shutout on that night, so I mean.
But like,
I haven't been watching the Carolina Hurricanes a
Has
lot.
anybody?
I understand Eddie Lack hasn't been playing as well as everybody in Vancouver wants him to because everyone loves him.
He
and I
loves
still like the
tacos.
guy.
What a good guy.
He is a good guy. He's a nice guy. I feel bad for him. But yeah, like goalies can be kind of up and down. And if you're playing for a really crappy team, you're going to have some nights where you don't look very good, but the team in front of you isn't that good either. So, if you're not stealing a game or even keeping them close, it can make you look pretty bad.
Yeah, Devin Dubnyk couldn't play in Edmonton. Terrible, done, awful, over. Oh, wait, he's a Vezina candidate. Oh, wow, what a surprise. It wasn't his fault.
So maybe Eddie Lack finds himself a job somewhere like
but there's got to be
Edmonton next year, and who knows?
There's got to be more to that story of I don't know how Eddie Lack composes himself around the team, or if you're giving the coach ammunition to get if you're not taking it seriously enough. I'm somebody who multiple times in my life has not taken things seriously at the wrong time, and people have gotten Bill Peters level of upset at me, and I'm thinking, I don't know, there's just got to be something that was just like, this guy's not making saves because he's goofing around being, I don't know, on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, it felt like a breaking point. Like, I don't think that just happened out of nowhere. There'd been an escalation to get to that point.
Yeah, like these guys are professional coaches. They're able to mask their anger and frustration with bland, vanilla responses. So I don't know. Frank Corrado's going to be a Stanley Cup champion, and that how do you feel about that, Paul?
I don't know. I heard the press box isn't as nice in Pittsburgh as it is in Toronto or Vancouver. So, I mean, is it a lateral move at best?
I'm just surprised he has value. I mean, I thought he was just waiver fodder, Just give him away. We got Frank Corrado's growing on trees over here.
I'm not sure if he is able to be exposed in the... Oh, he wouldn't be able to because he didn't play enough games this year. I thought maybe it'd be an expansion draft situation, but they pick up him and Swiss Superman Thomas, or what is his name, Mark Streit, and they picked him up in Pittsburgh as depth on defense. But it was Nick Bonino last year. There's a very good chance that the Penguins could win the Stanley Cup this year.
Pittsburgh's just loading up on defensive depth. They're kind of doing what the Canucks did in 2011, where they had a lot of injuries, so they're able to just load in. Not that Frank Corrado's making that much money, but Streit is making a bit, I seem to remember. You want depth on D because, sure enough, you'll get to the Stanley Cup final, and there's a good chance you'll be missing 6-7 bodies. Mm-hmm. So Frank Corrado can come in and be the hero of the Stanley Cup final now.
He's going to come in. He's going to come in a double overtime Game 7 against the Sharks.
And crush Vancouver's hopes and dreams.
Frank Corrado with the offensive defensive play of the lifetime. No. Jannik Hansen's crying, folks. That's what's going to happen. That's my bold prediction.
They give guys opportunities. Just look in net. They gave Murray a chance to run with it.
Look at the whole roster.
There's a lot of guys there. They'll give opportunities, and if you play, you play. If you can play,
you can play.
There you go.
And I was like, a couple of years ago, who the hell's Brandon Rust? Who's Connor Sheary? Who are these guys playing with Sidney Crosby looking amazing?
The only ones that Pittsburgh can afford to fill out the bottom of their lineup with.
It's like that in Chicago. And the last thing I want to talk about is Captain Serious, Jonathan Toews, who was ridiculed and under immense scrutiny all year for underachieving, somehow decided to heat up when it matters most in February in the stretch drive. He's the NHL first star of the month for February, and he had 18 points in 10 games, 7 goals, 11 assists. And it just poses the question, is this why you overpay for somebody that can produce when it matters most?
I think a lot of these high-end guys have figured out that you're not going to win anything in October, November, and December, and they've got a strong enough supporting cast that they don't have to be at 100%, and they know that if it was kind of like Crosby last year, first half terrible, picked up in the second half because he knows that the Stanley Cup Finals are such a slog. They're like 2.5 months long, and if you go all out in the beginning of the season, you're not going to have anything left at the end. So I think they've adjusted their training and adjusted like their energy output. And they know that they have a good enough team; they'll get there, and then they're ready for the playoffs.
It's almost like they don't care about trying to go balls out to win individual awards. I don't know. I just like maybe that's the Washington Capitals' problem.
Yeah.
He also plays like the other team's top players every night because he's a defensive specialist on top of being an offensive threat. So,
are you suggesting he is a
very good hockey player?
He's a 200-foot player, that term that hockey management loves to say about guys that generally are fourth-line plugs.
Yeah.
But it's kind of true with Jonathan Toews.
He's
good everywhere.
He is.
Even if he's not scoring, he's helping you. And I think, I don't know, it was inevitable that he'd come back. Although he plays a lot of hard minutes, he could be a guy you see drop off drastically at 32, 33 instead of going into his late 30s like some of the All-Stars can.
The old Dustin Brown syndrome? Where
maybe hit 30, 31 and you drop off. So, I don't know. Keep an eye on it, but he's still young enough that I think he's going to be fine for another little bit. But Chicago's, still got a window wide open. They've been so good at keeping that. I mean, it helps if you're crappy long enough and you pick 2 very high draft picks.
Yeah, that happen to actually pan out and they turn into great players instead of Alexander Daig or something.
So, it's a good team and they've been together for a long time. So, they'll keep going and he'll drop off and they'll be overpaying for him. And
but
Chicago won't matter because they'll have 5 Stanley Cups or something.
Exactly.
So who cares?
One for each finger.
Yeah. But folks were mad about talking about Stanley Cups. Folks were mad on Twitter. How dare the San Jose Sharks put a clause in where they give up a first-round pick if they win the Stanley Cup? If they win the Stanley Cup,
it doesn't matter.
Oh my God! If the Canucks won the Stanley Cup in 2011, they could have given Ryan Kessler a 100-year, $10 million a year contract. I wouldn't have given a damn.
You own the rink now, Ryan. It's yours.
Yeah, you get whatever you want. He's gonna have a gold suit he walks around in, and he's like an emperor. We won.
Looks like CeeLo Green at the Grammys this year.
The Canucks won the Stanley Cup. That photo, it's like, who gives a shit? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I don't know. That ruined the franchise to win the cup. I just hope you win.
Yeah, you got to win it.
That's almost like the definition of a gamble. Huh?
Yes.
Anyway, so I'll wrap it up for this week's podcast. Stick around if you're a Patreon backer for 5 minutes for paying. And if you want to be able to access that content each week, just head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet, just like longtime listener Anna Forsyth did. Pledge $5, and she's able to get all our bonus content. Now, you can also, I was going to say, now that the price of pucks have gone up, if you pledge $15 a month, you get a puck with the bonus content. And based on what I'm charging for a puck now, $15 a month is a bit of a steal. So you have a couple options. You can pledge $5, get all the bonus content, or you can pledge $15, get bonus content, get admission to any Pucks on It live shows, and you get a puck. But if you don't want to pay $15 a month, you can pay $5 a month and then buy the puck from us directly. It's a little convoluted, but I just want to say,
can we get Jay Baruchel to read this like he was doing with trade clauses the other night? I'm lost. I need isn't he an Academy Award winning actor now?
I need an abacus to figure out, how do I get the pucks and listen to the shit but not have to deal with all the bullshit? So if you don't want to support us monetarily but you like the show, just subscribe and rate and review and leave a comment on iTunes. to help us out on that horrible Steve Jobs algorithm, and just like us on all the social media platforms and tell a friend.
And if we get enough money from Patreon, we will bring on a new member of the team. Sorry, Simon, you'll be stuck at the press box. We'll bring in another player at the deadline to keep you back. Jay Baruchel will be the next one on our team.
Well, there's a 200-foot player for you.
Dropping all of our money on that kid, and he was so good on Popular Mechanics for Kids. We gotta bring him in, and maybe Alicia Cuthbert will be behind.
On that note, okay,
I think it'll be a popular one if Alicia Cuthbert's on.
All she's gonna do is talk about how good Dion Phaneuf is.
Maybe we should bring her in first, because I really feel like Jay Baruchel is sloppy seconds. Can I say that? No, maybe.
Stay tuned for 5 minutes for paying.
Right.